Hey, what's up guys, it's WiseGuyVito here, and today having our tier list video for you guys, and this one will be on primary weapons against the Terminid faction. We recently just got a war bond drop, as of actually today, and introduced lever action primary, and they also made some changes about 2 days ago, and I kind of want to go over those changes a little bit, and kind of explain my reasoning on where weapons go on a tier list. So without further ado, as always, before we start, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all the support we've gotten so far. Let's get straight into the tier list. So before we start, let's go over the tiers real quick. S tier would be like the meta picks for level 10 difficulties. These are the primaries that I think are the cream of the crop. A tier is above average. There might be one glaring issue with it, but for the most part, it's still, they can still hang within level 10s. Just know like there might be one weakness with it, or like with this weapon. B tier is average. It's neither bad nor good, kind of mid, in my opinion. You can still use it in level 10. Just know that you're gonna get average performance. C tier is below average. Would like to see some buffs to these weapons, and I'll kind of explain the buffs that should be made to these weapons. And then D tier is Dookie tier. This is the bad tier. This is where weapons need complete reworks or just major buffs to them completely. And I do think there are some weapons that do fall within this category. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So the Adjudicator, not gonna lie guys, this got a buff of about 5 damage in the last patch. Nothing's really changed about it too much with that 5 damage increase, but in my opinion, it is a sleeper pick among assault rifles currently. I do think the only thing that I think that it needs right now is probably like maybe a little bit more ammo in the mag and more ammo in reserve, and I think that it'd be in a kind of a really good spot, maybe into low S territory. But for the time being, I do think this is a sleeper pick currently within Helldivers 2, especially in the meta right now. It's medium armor pen, does really good damage. It's just overall just a solid assault rifle. So that's why I'm putting it in the A tier category. The Blitzer, I do think this is an S tier. Unlimited ammo, you can spam it. They actually increased the rate of fire since when it first came out, and the increase to the rate of fire was done several months back, and it feels pretty good. Not gonna lie, it stuns, staggers. It's just really good at handling patrols and bug breaches, and if you're getting swarmed, it just does really well. So that's why I'm putting it in the S tier category. Breaker, so this would be like just a normal breaker shotgun. I do think this is kind of like a in between like a and B in my opinion. I'm gonna kind of give it like a little bit more charitability. I think that it's probably a low A. It's really good at single target, so like commanders, nursing spewers, bile spewers. You know, going after a single target. It does have some CC capability because it is a shotgun, but you know, it's not like how it was back in its former glory days, where everyone was just running it. But even then, back then, like all primaries kind of sucked. And this was kind of like the only good primary. But again, it's more of a single target type of shotgun where you just spray just all kinds of nonsense into a target that you're just wanting to kill that fast. But I think this is more of just like a bigger body elite killing shotgun than anything else. But it does feel pretty good to use against those enemies. That's why I'm putting it into the A category. The Constitution, not gonna lie, I do think this is not necessarily a really good rifle to use right now in Helldivers 2. It needs more damage. It needs stripper clips. People are saying give it AP4. Just giving it AP4 would be okay, I guess. But again, it's just so super niche for where it is that I don't like. If you want to run it for like a meme build, you can. But for anything else, I would not be running this weapon until they do some major buffs to it. It's not supposed to be technically like a good primary, but I kind of want it to be a good primary, and that's why I'm saying stripper clips, and with a damage increase, I think it'd be really, really good. Just giving it AP4 would not be a good. Well, it would be a fine change, but it needs more than just AP4. It needs some other things to kind of help it out. So that's why I'm putting it into the D tier category. Cookout is S tier. It's probably one of the best primaries, if not the best primary, against the Terminids. It staggers. It applies damage over time. Has a really good ammo economy. It's just good. It's just a solid gun. You can actually use this shotgun at range as well. So if you see a patrol kind of far off, you can kind of just like lob incendiary shots at the patrol and start that damage over time process and start killing like the little itty bitty bugs and like the Wilburs and the hunters and such. Warriors, it just does really, really, really good work for just CC control, which is what a primary should be doing, and kind of like its design point of a shotgun. So that's why I'm putting it in the S tier category. The Defender, okay, so the Defender got a damage increase of 80, so like it does 80 damage now. It actually feels pretty good. It actually was pretty good. I'm gonna put it into like the low end of A tier. As a one-handed submachine gun, it's actually not that bad right now. It has really no competition to it right now. The Pummeler did get a buff, but we'll kind of discuss the Pummeler later. The Pummeler does not even rival what the Defender is right now, and that's kind of sad for the Pummeler. But like I said, like we'll kind of go over that. But for the most part, it's a one-handed submachine gun doing 80 damage per shot. It's light armor penetration, but just for handling just like mobs, it actually does very well. And if you want to bring something that, if you want to bring a ballistic shield with this, you can. I still feel like the ballistic shield needs a buff to it. But as a submachine gun, if you're running it on certain missions that require you to carry something, it does do pretty well. It does have that versatility to it. The Diligence, I do think this is kind of like a low A tier type of gun. They increased the mag size by 5, I believe, so now it has 25 shots to it. I don't think this really fixes much with the Diligence. I mean, like, is it a good change? I mean, giving it more ammo is fine. I just think that it needs to do more damage than what it's currently doing. As a light armor penetrating weapon, I feel like this is the only really good gun that you can. Or sorry, the only good. I think the Diligence is only really good on Terminids and Illuminate. And by good, I mean like it's like you can run it on level 10, like, and that's like okay to use. But I still think that it needs more damage. On the automaton front, it doesn't really do that great, in my opinion. But against Terminids specifically, mobs, it does pretty well on distancing, at a distance, bug breaches and stuff like that. Like I said, you can kind of pick off what enemies that you need to pick off. But if it was the choice between this and the counter sniper Diligence, I'm still going to the counter sniper Diligence, because the counter sniper Diligence can handle elite enemies, and I can rely more on my stratagems to kind of, worry about, CC control and stuff like that. So, if I'm going to run a DMR, I'm going to run a DMR that does a lot more damage than just more ammo. So that's why I'm kind of putting it in kind of like this low A status, because I don't think that it's average. I do think that it has an edge above averageness, but it's okay. It's definitely better than average, in my opinion. The Dominator for me has kind of fallen off a bit. Consistently in all my tier list videos, I have put it in S. I've been using it here recently. I do think it's kind of fallen off a little bit. Nothing has really changed in performance with it. Its handling is not that great. Mag size is not that great either. It's really just used for elite busting. But anything that has to do with CC control, but just crowd control and CCing, it's not really that great on. You're going to have to bring some stratagems to kind of help it out. So in my opinion, I'm kind of putting it into like this type of A tier category. High A, I'll be more charitable towards it. I think it's definitely like a high A for handling things like commanders and hive guardians and nursing spewers and bile spewers, stuff like that. More of the more tankier enemies in the game. But as far as, ceasing control and stuff like that, I think it kind of falls flat right there. But it feels fine. It feels fine. It's there might be some people who argue that it is an S tier weapon. I wouldn't argue with you that it probably is an S tier weapon, but me using it now versus everything that is an S tier and even an A tier, like there's still some A tier options that I would use over the Dominator currently. That's why I think that the Dominator could use probably some love in the future, but for the time being, I think that it's a fine weapon. But it does have a particular, well, I won't say it has a particular niche, but it does have kind of like that, job that it succeeds very, very well at, and it does well on the Terminid front. The double-edged Sickle. I think this is a fine weapon. I do think that the change that happened a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, was a nerf. Just flat out was a nerf. You really don't have much build variety with this weapon. You have to wear, in my opinion anyways, for it to be efficient and to really, use what it's giving you, which is AP4 at the highest like the highest burn rate, I guess, or like whenever it's running at its hottest, like when you get AP4, you have to have fire resistant armor. If you don't have any other armor in the game, it sucks. It feels really bad to use. If you're going to run fire resistant armor, it's probably high A, in my opinion. If you don't run fire resistant armor, yeah, I would say C. It's just that bad. If you run medic armor, because there's people saying, well, I can just run medic armor with it. Go ahead, sure. If you want to heal and brute force heal through it, you can. In my opinion, though, just run a supply pack with it, and run fire resistant armor, and you basically get the same effect, if not better. So if you build it up, it's definitely like within the high A category. But in my opinion, whenever they nerfed it, I thought it was fine before. I didn't think it needed anything changed to it, but they feel like they need change to it. I disagree with them. And because of that, you now have to run a particular build with it, whereas before you didn't have to. So that's why I'm putting it it's definitely not S in my opinion. There are definitely some other primaries that do better than the double-edged Sickle. And people are saying, well, AP4 does really well, and it's like, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, AP4 is great, but I don't think that is the end-all be-all in what makes a primary good. What makes a primary good is just consistency, CC, it excelling at, killing elite enemies and stuff like that, and that has like a certain flexibility and versatility within loadouts. And for this, you have to take fire resistant armor. You cannot take any other armor set in the game with it, in my opinion, in order for it to feel good to use. So with that being said, that's why I'm putting it in the high end of A tier. You could be persuaded, or like I could be probably persuaded in the comment section for being an S tier, but for the time being, in my experience, though, it doesn't feel that great as long as you run. You have to run fire resistant armor in order for it to feel good. The Eruptor got massive buffs. Feels really good. This is a weapon that I think did change whenever you gave it AP4, because now I still think the shrapnel is kind of ass on it still, but if you ask me if I would like pre-patched Eruptor versus this version of the Eruptor, I still prefer the pre-patched Eruptor. Still, the pre-patched Eruptor felt good to use. This one feels good to use, but it definitely has one glaring issue, and that is crowd control. Okay, you're going to have to bring stratagems that kind of support it, but against elite style enemies, it does phenomenally well. Okay, it can one-shot hunters if you shoot them in the butt. It can one-shot impalers in between, kind of like where the armor ends and the little fleshy vulnerable spot begins, I guess, like where they meet up at on the impaler. You know, you can actually one-shot impalers with that. So in my opinion, it's kind of up here, actually, on the high A end of the spectrum. Two things that are kind of holding it back, like I said, CC. You know, I think CC is okay with this. It could be better. That's why I like the old Eruptor better than this one currently. But another thing with it as well is that in between shots, you know, Terminids fly at you, especially Predator Strand. Holy shit. You know, like if this was a Predator Strand tier list, which I do plan on making at some point, you know, I would actually put this probably in B, because the problem with the Predator Strand is that the amount of stalkers that fly at you is immense, and that's why that's why I would probably put it in like high B into leading into low A. But for the most part, you know, I think it does fine work, you know. But just know that you're going after heavy armor targets if you're using this, and you have to be shooting at their vulnerable spots, you know. But you know, otherwise, phenomenal weapon. It definitely opens up for more build diversity in the game. So you should definitely be taking a look at the Eruptor. The Eruptor is goated right now. The explosive crossbow, S tier. Very good. Top 5 weapons in Helldivers 2. One-handed, in my opinion, is the better Eruptor. Just as far as for CC control. The Eruptor now is just better for heavy armor targets. This is just better for CC. So if you want CC control and one-handedness and versatility and stuff like that, bring the explosive crossbow. The explosive crossbow does very, very good work right now. The Halt, sorry, it's S. It's S. Stun rounds, stun something for 5 seconds. Flechette, medium armor, or like medium armor penetration, and it does 380 damage, I think, 350, 380 damage, which is very good. Yeah. Solid shotgun. Solid shotgun. It's just good. Just very good versatility all around. So I'm putting the Halt in S tier category. The Incendiary Breaker is A tier. I just think it needs its magazines back. If it got its magazines back up to 6, it'd be S tier again. But you kind of have to bring. You don't have to bring a supply pack with it, but it feels better with a supply pack. Like just full stop. You know, you don't have to worry about the ammo. If you have a supply pack, it becomes S tier, but by itself, it's just A tier. The lever action. Okay, so this is the lever action rifle. Okay, so I like this gun. It's my favorite gun in the game right now. Okay, I think this is very much a skilled weapon. Against Terminids, you can 2-tap commanders. You can one-shot stalkers in the head. And if not, you can like 2-tap stalkers. You can one-tap hunters to the body. You can it staggers, which also feels really good. So if you have like some stalkers coming up on you, if the first shot doesn't kill them, the second shot will, because it will, and it will stop them. The first shot will stop them. It's just a solid weapon, like overall. I think it's I think it's better than the counter sniper Diligence personally. Okay, now that's just my play style. I always go for headshots. Okay, whenever it comes down to like these type of DMR weapons. Okay, I don't think that's S tier though. I don't think that it's S tier. But I do think that it is a very good weapon. I see a lot of people kind of like talking shit about this weapon. I don't understand why, but it is good. Okay. The only problem with it is that it doesn't do really good at CC. Now, here's the cool thing about it though. It does over penetrate. So if enemies are lined up, you will penetrate through multiple enemies and kill them with one shot. It feels really good to use. You know. So if this was I'm explaining my bias here. And by the way, I love lever actions. Lever actions are my favorite type of weapon ever. So like I'm a little biased here. If I had it my way, I'd put it in S tier. okay? Because it is the best weapon in the game, in my opinion. But I don't think it's the best weapon in the game because obviously there's way better choices up here for just efficiency. But I do think that it's on the super high A leading in S tier. Okay? This weapon is, I think a lot of people are going to sleep on this. It's going to get buffed again at some point. People think this weapon needs AP4. I don't think this weapon needs AP4 to it. If they gave it AP4, I wouldn't be upset about it. But I don't think it needs AP4. I just think that it's basically just a high skill weapon. You know, it feels decent. In my opinion, I think it feels really good to use. The ability to reload one round at a time as well gives it great ammo economy. It's basically like a pump action shotgun, like how it reloads. You have to dump the entire mag or throw the entire mag away if you're like a compulsive reloader like I am. But it does feel very, very good to use. It feels very, very good to use. So that's why I'm putting it in the high A category. I want to put it in S tier. But I'm going to be conservative about it. I'm going to put it into the high end of A. Liberated Carbine. It's not terrible. It's also not great. It needs attachments. Just give it something else. Underbarrel shotgun. Give it some sort of versatility to it. Otherwise, it's just a fast shooting Liberator. That's it. I wanted this thing to be good. At one point, I had this thing in A tier because I used it once or twice, and I was like, man, this thing's actually not that bad. Like low end of A into B, or actually on the high end of B into A. And as time goes on, I've noticed I have noticed the error in my ways, and I now think this weapon is just not that great. It just needs something to it. It really does. An attachment system. This weapon needs to. If whenever they do an attachment system at some point in the next 50 years, because Arrowhead's development time is really, really fucking slow and it's really annoying. And don't give me the excuse that they're a small indie developer at this point. They are a very successful multi-million-dollar indie developer at this point. They can definitely outsource some resources here for dev work and make a really, really good game right now. That's actually worth the live service model that they have. Then one of the things they're working on right now is an attachment system. This weapon would benefit from the attachment system. So, and until they do that, this weapon's gonna kind of remain C tier. Liberated Concussive. They buffed the rate of fire, which I think it was really nice, but they took away the magazine. That's not good. Okay. As it stands currently, I do think it's on a low A of things. They need to bring that magazine back. There's no need to take away the magazine at all. There's no need. A faster firing weapon does not mean that you get to just rip ammo out of its mouth. Give it back its ammo. Liberated Penetrator. I still think the Adjudicator is better. Okay, but I do think that it's probably like a B, like an average weapon, in my opinion. It's not bad. It's not terrible. I give this thing so much shit, but it's not terrible. It's not bad or terrible or anything. I just think the Adjudicator is just better in every way. Yes, you get more ammo with the Liberated Penetrator. I understand that. You get 45 rounds, right? You get 15 more rounds or 10 or 15 more rounds to it. Whatever. Don't care. The Adjudicator to me feels better. I think there's more and more people waking up to on why the Adjudicator is better and why the Adjudicator is good. But Liberator Penetrator, it's fine. It's just average. Regular Liberator, it got its damage buffed. It feels fine. It feels fine. It just feels meh, average still. Again, this weapon would benefit from an attachment system. Like whenever they implement that, or like whenever they implement that. Plasma Sniper Rifle, absolutely dog shit. Worst weapon in the entire game. Worst weapon in the entire game. Just an embarrassment of a crossover weapon. And shame on Arrowhead for making an absolute trash weapon. Trash, 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 trash. It's trash. There should be another tier over here called T tier for trash. Absolute dumpster fire. Awful. Terrible. Bad. Bad. Terrible. I don't know how many times I have to say it is like this is dog shit. This is dog shit. This is such a bad weapon. It has the same damage fall off of the Cookout, which is a shotgun. Okay, it needs to do way more damage than what it's currently doing. This is literally the Purifier of like 8 months ago. It's garbage. It's just shit. I don't know what else to say about it. It is just garbage, and it needs to be buffed. It needs to be buffed and reworked completely. Plasma Punisher. Does it feel that bad? I think that it does need to blow up. Okay, so the projectile that it shoots out does not need to blow up on proximity. It needs to blow up on impact. If it blows up on impact, it'd be S tier, in my opinion. But I'm gonna put it on the low end of A. So, excuse me, on the high end of A. I don't think it's bad. I think it does really good stagger and decent damage and good CC. But other than that, you know, I really do think that needs to blow up on impact, because then you get like the full ramifications of its damage and stuff like that. Pummeler, trash. It's bugged right now. It actually takes more rounds to stun something than it does than it did before. You know. Also, the stun needs to last longer than just what I think. Okay, so I like Thick. Thick Fillet is amazing, by the way. Definitely should follow him and subscribe to his channel, because he does he does a really, really good job on like breaking this stuff down. I didn't know how bad the Pummeler was on stun compared to the Holt. So the Holt is like 5-second stun because of stun rounds, right? Makes sense. The Holt should not be nerfed. By the way, Airhead, the Holt should not be nerfed. Okay, but the Pummeler is like not even a second or something. It's like something really, really dumb, actually. And they buffed it to where the stun activates sooner, but the stun's not worth it to begin with. So it's like, does it really change much? I mean, it changes a little bit, but not to where it should be. But now it's completely bugged to where if you're using it, don't be using this weapon. Don't like it's bugged. Don't use it. Now, do I think it's better than the plasma rifle? Absolutely. I think it's leagues above than this piece of shit. But as far as, you know, the gun itself, it's bugged. It's bugged right now. And until they fix it, I would not be using this. Just use the Defender. Use the Holt. You know, if you're wanting a submachine gun, use the Defender. If you want to use something with stun rounds to it, use the Holt. But other than that, don't be using this weapon. The regular Punisher, I do think this on the high end of A. Feels really good. Really good at elite killing. Really good at, you know, commanders and nursing spewers and bowel spewers and the stagger that it throws at people. It's just a phenomenal weapon. It does very, very good. Very, very good. The Purifier, probably top 5 best weapons in the game right now. It's just amazing CC and really good elite busting. Like really good at killing commanders, groups of enemies, groups of patrols. You know, it just does it very, very good. It is very, very, very good against the Terminids. Scorcher, again, S tier. It's just solid elite killing. Solid at CCing, because the projectiles have like a little AoE splash to them, and you can kill, you know, 2 or 3 enemies at a time with it if they're all kind of like on top of each other. It's just a really good plasma assault rifle. So that's why I'm putting it in the S tier. This is the Scythe. So the Scythe, I kind of feel like it's like B. I can maybe see it being at low A, but for the time being, I think it's B right now. I think that if you build into it with like a guard dog and a quasar and just running like a full just YOLO laser light show build, I think it actually does really good, actually, because you have a lot of just beaming down stuff and setting stuff on fire, right? But for the most part, this weapon, I wish I liked it, but I really don't. I just don't. It doesn't feel good for me to use. Not saying it's a bad weapon. It's just, in my experience, I just think that there are just better options out there than the Scythe. Whenever it comes down to this type of like laser pointer type weapons. I'd rather use the Quasar and just bring a Quasar if I'm going to use a laser cannon, really, or like a laser type gun. But it's fine. It does okay. I think the only problem that I have with it as far as CC control is that I think it does really well against Wilburs and Warriors and Hunters, but everything else is just dog shit. It doesn't feel that good to use in my opinion. So that's what I'm putting into the B tier category. Reprimand, low end of A. They decreased the spread of each bullet fired from the weapon, which is good. I think it needs to be decreased even further, and then it'd be perfect. It probably would be like a high A type weapon, but for the most part, low end of A. Feels fine. Feels okay. Sickle. This is a normal Sickle. I think the double-edged Sickle is better, first and foremost. If you don't want to worry about catching yourself on fire, but just going after like Hunters and Wilburs and Warriors and Hive Guardians, even Hive Guardians, and some Commanders and stuff like that, without burning yourself, but you are going to be losing out on damage and AP 3 and AP 4, then I think that's probably low end of A. I think it's fine. It's definitely above average because you still have like unlimited ammo to it, and that's why it still is competitive, within level 10. If you don't want to have to worry about, like if you just want just a solid primary weapon that you don't have to worry about ammo about, then just run just like the regular Sickle and you'll be fine. The Slugger, okay. Slugger got buffed. Slugger feels good, in my opinion. Stagger feels really good on it. And there's no bullet deviation. Thank God. That was the worst thing about this weapon. Now, here is the problem with it. I think it needs to do more damage. It needs to do 300, 320. Maybe 320. I'm leaning more towards 320. Just more than 300 damage. Because right now it does 280. And it's a slug. Like you're slinging a big ball of lead at something, right? In that case, I'm going to kind of put it in low, at probably just in B. Probably on the high end of B. But it feels good. It feels good. Like it's actually usable now. Instead of as before, it was just trash. It was just garbage. But it does need to do more damage, and then it'd be fine. Breaker Spray and Pray. It's B. It's kind of just niche in that it's really good against just regular trash mob stuff and shriekers. If you're it does okay against commander heads and kind of okay against nursing spewers, but again, like the Breaker Spray and Pray is more just for trash mobs, and that's really all that it's good for the most part. So other than that, it feels fine. But just know that it is very super niche, and that it if you're really struggling with trash mobs during a bug breach or something like that, then you'll bring this. So this is the Killzone submachine gun. I don't really like it. I don't like the Knight either. I want to put these together because these are very similar. Sure, you might get more DPS out of this one than this one, whatever. These weapons just need to benefit from a attachment system at this point. They got both their damage buff, I believe. Nothing changed with their ammo though. I still think that the submachine gun needs to have way more ammo than it. I think the submachine gun needs way more ammo than it currently has. The damage buff was nice, sure, whatever, cool. It's still not that great, in my opinion. Doesn't really change much, in my opinion. Same thing with the Knight. Knight doesn't feel any different. It just meh. They just need like I said before, they just need an attachment system, and then they'd be fine. This is the Killzone assault rifle. I do think this is probably better than the Liberator, just simply because it has I think 10 extra bullets, 10 or 11 extra bullets to it. But again, an attachment system would greatly help this weapon out. I kind of think that all the Killzone weapons just suck monster booty hole. and until they do something with these weapons, they're going to continuously suck monster booty hole. I think this weapon should have, in my opinion, it has a drum mag. It even says in the description, drum mag to it. Give it 70 bullets, 80 bullets, and then I'll be happy with it. But for whatever reason, they don't want to do that. And also, I want to say they had a grenade launcher in the game. It was either underbarrel grenade launcher or a shotgun. They gave it a flashlight that looks like an underbarrel grenade launcher. Like, just give it a grenade launcher. Just give it a grenade launcher. Like, why? Just do it. Tenderizer. I do think this is on the high end of a 105 damage per shot is actually really good. I think the only thing that's problematic with it though is that it needs more ammo. That's it. You know, it kind of struggles with what the Adjudicator has. You know, but for the most part, I do feel like it is better. It is way better than what it used to be. But you know, it's a nice little assault rifle. You know, if you want something that's better than the Liberator, just run the Tenderizer, and you'll be fine. And a Scorcher. Scorcher's good. It's, I wouldn't say it's very build dependent, but I will say running fire resistant armor is definitely better for it. You can cook charges with this. Great CC control. It's just a Terminid killing weapon, and that's why I'm putting it into the S tier, because it does really, really, really good against Terminids. Against all the other factions in the game, it does okay with, you know, except for the automatons. I don't think it really does well against the automatons. But, you know, in my opinion, if you wanted something that was a Terminid specific weapon to use against the Terminids, the Torture is that weapon. The Flamethrower primary is that weapon. So this is my tier list. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Would love to hear you guys' opinion on where I'm right and where I'm wrong. Give your opinions about, you know, where would you put things in a tier list. Would love to hear your guys' opinions on it. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.